We got some breaking news Friday afternoon as the Mariners acquired right-handed relief pitcher Cooper Criswell from the New York Mets for cash considerations, DFA'd Jonathan Diaz to add him to the 40-man roster. Now, who is he as a player? He's been in the majors for portions of 5 seasons, never spent a full year in the majors. Actually, with Boston in 2024, he did pitch 99 innings, and he's gone as a starter in certain games. If you look at his game log on MLB.com, one of his last couple games this year, he went 7 innings, only giving up 1 run. However, he's more of a reliever. He's 6'6", 200 pounds. Anyway, you look at his MLB percentile rankings from the last year. You'll notice he's got quite a bit of red on there, now quite a bit of blue as well. Not any certain pitch that's particularly good. Off-speed run value, breaking run value, both negative. Fastball run value is positive, the only one that is. However, he's got third percentile fastball velo, and we know how important velo is for being a good pitcher, especially on your fastball. So that's pretty interesting to see. He looks like quite a pitch to contact guy when you see the fact that he's got an average exit velo that's way up there in the red. He's got the barrel rates way up there in the red. Hard hit percentage, ground ball rate way up there in the red. High extension, being 6'6", he's going to get way down the mound before releasing. And that walk percentage is good too, as well as the chase percentage is good. However, the whiff and the K percentage are way, way down. So he's getting guys to chase, but he's not striking them out. He's not walking guys. Kind of an interesting profile here. The xERA and X expected batting average kind of middling, 266, not very good. And then 3.99 ERA right there, kind of middling. And then his movement profile from 2025, you can see that he's using 3 different pitches around 30% of the time, all with pretty similar velocities between, in the 80s miles per hour, kind of the mid to high 80s. So the changeup was his most used pitch in 2025, 31%. Usage, 84.4 miles an hour, and that sits kind of down and away to righties, down and into lefties. Then the cutter, 86.9%, 86.9 miles an hour, 30% usage. And that kind of just sits there. It looks really weird too, because you'll notice he's got a 9-degree arm angle. It's really low, so it's not really tall guy. Just grab this baseball here just because, he comes up, and if you watch one of these videos of him pitching, he comes way to the side. He's standing almost straight up as well. So he's really tall already. He's coming straight to the side to deliver the baseball. And, the changeup kind of goes in and then away, goes arm side. The cutter comes in and just kind of sits there. Not a whole lot of movement on the cutter. Then the sinker comes in and goes arm side as well. Something you kind of would expect, although you'd expect the cutter, when you watch it on video, you'd expect that it's going more arm side, as opposed to glove side, right, for a right-handed pitcher. But it kind of just sits there according to this movement profile from 2025. Then the sweeper, he's only using 11% of the time. Only 76.5 miles an hour. That's pretty slow, even for a sweeper. That's like curveball velocity. And that thing is going glove side. So kind of more of a typical direction for a slider, where these other 3 pitches are kind of going arm side. This one's going glove side, but the cutter just doesn't move that much at all. And the really low release angle is something definitely to pay attention to. Now, as we saw, he just doesn't throw the ball that hard. 3rd percentile fastball velo, especially for a guy that's 6'6", 200 pounds. But the case 4, he's got a whole lot of untapped potential. This is a guy with prolific size at 6'6", 200 pounds, and he fits the Mariners' style, because the Mariners' style, from the starting pitchers, to their relievers, they have tons of guys that are righties with low release points. So it's definitely something that the Mariners saw when they were considering this and said, oh, this is a style that we know how to coach. We're going to rock with this guy and see if he can take some of what we are trying to give him and what we try to give guys that fit this mold. The pitch mix is somewhat interesting. The fact that the changeup and the cutter have similar velos, with the sinker only slightly more. If you pump the sinker up, it's kind of interesting. It's like maybe you do have something. If that sinker can get up into the 90s, it could be really tricky to see. Velocity is the most important thing that you can do for a pitcher, add velocity. But other than that, he has a pretty interesting profile athletically and stuff. And then he's got great pitch to contact metrics that we saw with great control. The high, the low walk percentages, and then all these good pitch to contact metrics. They show a successful pitcher in this profile somewhere. Now, the case against, and I don't want to bury the lead here, is that he's just not a sure thing. He was guaranteed an $800K MLB salary by the Red Sox early on this offseason. So the Mariners, by acquiring him from the Mets, who had DFA'd him, the Red Sox DFA'd him. The Mets acquired him and said, we'll take on this $800K salary. Then they DFA him. Now the Mariners acquire. They say, we're going to take on this $800K salary. So he's promised $800K for this season. Now the Mariners are going to have to be the one to pay that if they don't trade him to another team. And he might not yield any results. That's why 2 organizations already DFA'd him this offseason. However, the fact that they were willing to promise that $800K in the beginning shows that there's some sort of potential here that they wanted to secure. He hasn't shown it yet. He really hasn't had a great season in the majors. He's never been a meaningful part of a bullpen before. And he hasn't ever really figured things out to that point. He did throw 99 innings for the Red Sox back in 2024, but he wasn't particularly good. The ERA up at 4.08. Not a guy that you're expecting, to go out in high leverage situations. Not a guy that, high profile teams were looking to acquire. So, kind of interesting there. And then he doesn't strike a ton of guys out either. Doesn't get many whiffs. So all things that are very important for a pitcher to have. He has low fastball velo, which is what made me think, the Mariners released who was going to their pitch. They call it the pitching camp thing. Some of the names on there: Cade Anderson, Durangelo. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that list of names that got released in another video here in the next week. But the Mariners gas camp is known around the industry as something that they send all their pitchers to, and it yields results in terms of getting guys to throw harder, add velocity. So maybe they acquire Cooper Criswell this week, and they're going to send him to gas camp as soon as he gets to spring training. I don't know. Maybe that's going to yield some more results, get his sinker up into the 90s of miles an hour, because obviously you see right-handed pitchers average 94 miles an hour on their sinkers in today's game, whereas he averages 89.4. That's about as low as it gets for the major leagues. He also has extremely low sweeper velo and low usage. So when you don't have a whole lot of velocity and you don't have just a killer slider, which is the best kind of off-speed pitch, that's the reason it's used so much, especially for relievers. You're just gonna have a hard time getting whiffs, and overall, then you don't match up with what suggests an effective pitcher in today's game. So maybe that can be pumped up by the organization. 76.5 miles an hour on the sweeper. You can see that's a full 8 miles an hour lower than the right-handed pitcher average of 83.1. He has this frame that suggests maybe you mess with his mechanics just a little bit. You probably keep that arm angle the same, because that's something the Mariners like, the low arm angle. And it also, the lower the arm angle is, it helps you cope with the velocity, because the pitch is harder to see coming out of the hand and to the batter at that point. And then the other thing I want to mention though is that even though he has these great pitch to contact stats, those are the one thing on Baseball Savant, or even of all types of statistics, metrics, numbers we use to look at this game, that take the longest of any to normalize and could blow up at any time. So even though he has these good metrics for barrel rate, average exit velocity, stuff like that, these could all get ruined pretty quickly if it goes the other direction. You can be pitching to contact for half of a season, and then you can have 1 or 2 bad weeks, and these metrics can just go way down. And that's you can just imagine a guy is pitching to contact, being crafty the whole season. I mean, a good example of that, to be honest, would be Edward Bizardo, how he has this amazing year for the Mariners, great at stranding guys. He was an elite reliever in Major League Baseball this year. And then he goes up against George Springer, throws the pitch that, George Springer uses, hits the 3-run homer to end the Mariners season in Game 7 of the ALCS. It's absolutely crushing, and that's what he's, ultimately he gets remembered for. It leaves a bad taste for the offseason. So pitching to contact is a fluky thing. But the good thing is, when you look at what is his place, I mean, there's a reason 2 MLB teams, both planning to contend, were willing to take on a guaranteed $800K salary for Kriswell. So I'm going to make this a little easier to see. Not enough. There we go. There's a reason 2 MLB teams, both planning to contend, were willing to take on an $800K guaranteed salary for Kriswell. But there's also a reason both DFA'd him from their 40-man rosters when they went out to acquire other guys. His untapped potential and frame suggests he could be electric, but he's far from a dependable option. He should make it to gas camp, go to spring training, and pitch in the bullpen at some point in 2025 to get their money, 2026 to get their money's worth, hopefully becoming a successful reclamation project where the Mariners saw their style, their mold of pitcher, and went after it. And we've got 62 days till opening day, 40 till the WBC, 28 till spring training game start, and 18 till pitchers and catchers report. Thank you guys for watching. Been a busy week in Seattle sports, busy January in Seattle sports with the Seahawks doing, having one of their best seasons ever in the NFC Championship this Sunday. Go follow over on Seahawks Wire to see everything I'm writing about them. With my good friend Cole Musgrove, who's the head editor. And as well as that, this is the first move that the Mariners have made since Rob Ruffsnyder, which, I definitely was pounding the table for, excited about. I thought the Kinsner signing as a backup catcher was pretty good. And I liked the Ferrer move as well, trading Harry Ford for him. So I have liked all the Mariners' moves this offseason. They have not been ultra aggressive. And I know most Mariners podcasts and most of the Mariners world is caught up in Brendan Donovan, was Ketel Marte before the Diamondbacks confirmed that they weren't going to trade him. And now, Nico Horner is getting thrown around, even though the Cubs are showing some onus on competing, signing Alex Bregman to a huge contract and stuff. So even though the Mariners haven't gone all in on 2026, which is what most fans and what most media members are, wanting, and rightfully so. I mean, we want to make the World Series. We want to see the best Mariners team that we've ever seen, and we just want to see them go farther than they've ever been. I still like the way that they're finding, good value on different contracts and building the team, not just for 2026, but beyond as well. I know people have been hearing this since Jerry Dipoto came out and said, 2018, 2019, we're going to be rebuilding a little bit. And then 2020 and 21, we're going to be going after it and competing for the World Series. And maybe it's taken a little bit longer than expected to get to this point, but the Mariners are now in pole position to be one of the best teams in the AL for the next 5 to 10 years. And I'm excited, quite frankly. I think that over the next 5 to 10 years, you're going to give yourself as many bites of the apple as you can to make a big postseason run every single time. And, you make a big postseason run every single time, then hopefully, the chips fall your way in those few postseason games. The playoffs are, to some degree, a crapshoot in baseball. And hopefully that crapshoot goes your way one of these times. And you're not just going to get some massive home run from your big star in the right moment. That's not always how it works. I mean, you saw the Dodgers, right? It took them Max Muncy, Miguel Rojas, Will Smith. It wasn't all Shohei Ohtani and Freddie Freeman in, Game 7 and stuff. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys I've got a lot of content planned for the next week or so, but I'll see you guys then. Go M's.